Hello and welcome to this video. Here I will be going over our second Marina Diamond apartment. This is a Dubai property investment case study from propertyadvice.ae. Now we're going to cover if we could build on our first success. If you've watched the channel before, you might know that we had a great opportunity to buy an apartment in Marina Diamond 1, coincidentally, and we were able to get 9% true ROI from renting it out as well after a minor renovation. We wanted to see if it was repeatable, so we went ahead and looked at Marina Diamond 2. The full cost and rent income breakdown we will be covering in this video. Also the true cost of renovating the apartment, because we did a much more intensive renovation here. And of course, I'm going to cover what we learned through this process, any things that you guys should know or consider if you're doing something the same. Now, why are we interested in these particular types of buildings? Now, the Marina Diamond buildings are certainly not the most fashionable in the marina. They are some of the oldest buildings there, but it all boils down to location. This is Marina Diamond 2. As you can see, it isn't a super fancy or, well presented building, let's say, but it is in an unbeatable location for its value. Right next to the tram and metro. It's at this side of the marina with a direct walkway into the beach area, so that's very accessible. Our first apartment was in Marina Diamond 1, which is very close to the Marina Walk as well, but a little bit closer to the mall, and there is another metro station over here. So both buildings, and actually most of the Marina Diamond buildings, are very well located, even though they are a little bit older. But because they're older, they're also cheaper to buy in the first place and often need a little bit of TLC to get them up and running at a higher rent. So we wanted to try it again to see if our first one was a fluke or if we could repeat the process. So what did we actually buy? Well, here's the apartment. This is a walkthrough video, and this was when we first got it. The asking price of this apartment was 720,000 dirhams. It's 438 square feet in size, which is slightly bigger than the one that we got before. Service charge is a bit higher too, 8,883 per year. And the typical furnished rent, according to the agents that were selling it, was around 55,000. So it was around 50 to 55,000 if you just put furniture in this apartment and rented it out. Now, I knew for a fact that we could push that rent higher because we'd already rented a very similar unit in another building at 75,000. So this was prime for a bit of renovation and development. So the key reasons for this one was that obviously the low cost, 720,000 dirhams in the marina, is still very cheap. It's got an excellent location. It has a balcony. That's a real big bonus for us. Now the view from this balcony isn't amazing, but it is a high up apartment on the 11th floor. Currently we've got this construction going on directly behind, but that will be finished relatively soon. And we kind of price that into our negotiations. We've got a view over the sort of highway and Jebel Ali almost area that way, but we do also get a partial view of the sea, the Address Hotel there, and a little bit of the marina as well. And plus the building next door will actually look quite nice when it's finished. The chiller and gas is free in this building, as in it's included and piped through into every apartment, which is why the service charge is a little higher. But that is great for tenants. Obviously, they'll appreciate being able to cook and cool their apartments for free. And it's prime for renovation. You can see the bathroom here, not ideal. The kitchen is also livable, but again, not ideal. Very old-fashioned and outdated. So we do need to renovate it. So what did we expect to pay for renovations? Well, between 25 and 35,000. That's what the agents were telling us. And if we upgraded it, we were expecting to get 65 to 75,000 dirhams in. Now, the first thing I always do when we get a new apartment is make a 3D CAD model. Now, I do these myself. Of course, you could get someone to do it as part of your renovation plans, but this really helps us to see the true sizes of furniture in situ that we're planning to put, It helps us confirm everything without making mistakes and speeds up the entire process of renovating, especially when you're trying to explain to contractors how you want something to look or to feel. It saves time and money because essentially we are wasting 200 dirhams a day while this apartment is empty. So the quicker we do everything, the better. So you can see here we have gone for a built-in furniture style with a new cabinet, quite a large wardrobe set with this kind of waterfall effect wooden top, which includes a sort of desk slash makeup table area, some chests of drawers, and a brand new kitchen with all new units, making more of the space, getting rid of those awful tiles, and swapping the divider wall that was currently there for a much more pleasant sort of slatted wooden effect divider. That allows us to segregate the room into three key areas. So you've got your sort of sleeping and bedroom area, you've got your living and dining area, and of course you've got your kitchen in the hallway. It's much nicer to have the kitchen in the hallway because your washing machine is as far as possible away from where you're sleeping, which I'm pretty sure most people would appreciate. You've even got space for a little dining set here or a bigger desk if you needed one. And the bathroom, we really wanted to redo it because it did look very dated, and update it to a shower, a walk-in shower with a glass door, which I think is going to be much nicer. Outside, nothing to do apart from maybe add some artificial grass. Now, we weren't initially expecting to change the full kitchen, but after seeing some cracks in the worktop, realizing that by the time we've sort of wrapped it and improved it, it would end up costing more anyway, we decided to up the budget to 35 to 50,000 dirhams to include things like a completely new kitchen and some of these nicer bits of furniture. Here is what the apartment looks like today. And you can probably tell that it looks extremely similar to the CAD model I was just showing you. And that just goes to show, you know, how useful those models are, because you can really see it almost in real life before you have it in real life. Here we've got the large cabinet now with full mirror doors. We have a storage bed. We have the new divider, which is made out of these sort of plastic wooden effect panels, but they're nice and chunky and they're quite strong, and they look really good. We've also got wall paneling. We've got a floor to ceiling mirror here. We've got this sort of flowing work table slash kind of makeup area. We've got the kitchen built into the wall, and it's all nicely finished with I think there's about 7 or 8 new units all the way to the ceiling. These are high quality units from IKEA, and it's got a wooden top now instead, which matches the wooden top here. Now you might be wondering, oh well, that wooden top's going to get damaged by the tenants. Well, it might, but it's also about a quarter of the price of the next option of a quartz top, for example. So we can replace it 4 times before the price would make sense. So I thought, considering it can also join on to the rest of the design, it was worth doing it that way. And it is a very small single piece that we needed. The bathroom was completely redone with all new tiles, floor, toilet, sink, again, custom mirror right to the ceiling, glass panel rather than a curtain. It just looks and feels a lot more pleasant now. And you can just about see in the distance the door, the entrance door and the bathroom door were also wrapped in a nice lighter color, and done professionally, really nice quality work by Creative Wrap. And of course outside we've got our typical 2-seater setup with the drying rack to remind people that there is a use to a balcony in a studio, and a living area with just the furniture there. So how much did this actually cost, you might be wondering. Here's our full breakdown. I haven't gone into itemized billing for this, but we have got a labor cost of approximately 13,500 dirhams. The bathroom, so that included, oh, by the way, the labor cost included dismantling everything, including the walls that were already here, removing all the rubbish, getting the permits, doing various random bits of plumbing, AC works, all of that. So that any kind of labor that we used, we included in this bill. For the bathroom, the 6,700 is mostly for the tiles, the shower, the cubicle, the toilet, the sink, all of that stuff. And so obviously the labor came into there. The kitchen was 11,300. which I thought was very reasonable considering we had a built-in microwave, which isn't cheap, and also brand new sink, hob setup, cooker hood, all of that stuff was all included. The doors wrap was quite expensive, but well worth doing because it really elevates the whole apartment, and that was 2,200 for the front door and the kitchen door, sorry, the bathroom door. Furniture includes all of the cabinets, including this sort of semi-custom unit. We've got the storage bed with a high quality mattress. We've got a L-shaped style sofa, these kind of modern Scandinavian style bits of furniture here, the outdoor furniture, the grass, and the decorations were 4,300. That includes things like the curtains and the light fittings. So we've got quite a lot going on in this apartment, but for 51,000 dirhams, I think it is overall worth it. The final sale price, by the way, that we actually bought the apartment at was 670,000. So we actually kind of negotiated 50,000 off the asking price, but then spent 50,000 on the renovation. So essentially, it kind of worked out equal anyway. So that was also one of the reasons why we decided to go a little step further with the renovation itself. Now, the total buying fees for that sort of purchase property is 46,150. That brings our real cost overall for this project to 767,000 dirhams. Now, here's a side-by-side look at the two apartments. Before is obviously on the left and after is on the right. And just to highlight all of the key changes, we got rid of the old tiles. We didn't actually get rid of the floor tiles in the main apartment. We did do it in the bathroom, but the reason for that is that these tiles were actually really good quality. They were just old. The building's 15 plus years old, and there are very few chips or cracks or anything in them. Plus, we always tend to put carpets down anyway as part of our setup, so it would have been quite a lengthy process to redo the entire floor. And to be honest, more than likely the tiles we would be getting probably wouldn't have even been as strong as the tiles that were there. So that was one of the reasons. Plus, also, for a tenant renting this property, they probably wouldn't even notice the floor because they'd be too busy looking at all of the nice features that we've added. So you can see the built-in units here. The TV as well was included in that cost. Now, some of the setup features like the small decorations, the bedding on the bed, we don't include in the rent. We literally just put it there to get nice quality photos and allow people to sort of feel as if they can step right into their home when they come in for viewings, but we do remove them actually when they rent the property, and that's been a really successful process. Here is one of those doors that has been upgraded, and it's actually smoothed out as well. It's not just wrapped, it's also smoothed out wherever it might have been sort of swollen, and you can probably agree it looks significantly better now. Now, to get that magic 8% ROI, the rent price of this new unit would need to be just over 70,000 a year. So let's see if we managed it. Now, the process to rent, our choice this time was to pick an agent that was already renting studios either in that building or in that area. So I acted as the tenant, actually went onto Property Finder and found what would be the best studio to rent that's the most similar to ours. And there was one available which looked like it was nicely decorated, was fully furnished, similar price range. And I contacted the agent for that unit and said, look, we've got a similar apartment, would you mind listing it? Of course they agreed, and our apartment was listed on there as well. The advantage of that is anytime someone inquires about either of the apartments, the agent is likely to still show ours, because I've tried to make ours one of the best for that price range. So anyone that's already seen a few studios with that agent that day and he shows them this one, they're going to probably fall in love with it. Now, we always list with 2 agents as well, at least. So I would recommend listing with multiple agents. That just doubles your reach on Bayut, Property Finder and the rest. And our own promotional on socials. Now, we did find, because this was rented in the summer, around May, June time, it was difficult to find as many viewings as we did with the first unit, which was rented in December. December to January. So the summer months are definitely quieter, which is something that we learned through this process. Another thing we were keen to keep with was our pricing structure. So you might notice, if you live in Dubai, you will know that typically rent is paid in checks. So 1 check, 4 checks, 12 checks. If you're not sure what that means, is essentially 1 check is all the rent up front, 4 checks is a payment every quarter, and 12 checks is a monthly payment. So the way we do our contracts is still a standard year contract for any of these. So it doesn't actually give the tenant any more flexibility in terms of their length of contract, but it does give them flexibility in terms of payment. And we reward that by obviously changing the prices. If you're willing to pay up front, you can pay the lowest rate. If you want to pay monthly, you're going to have to pay 10,000 more. All inclusive just means adding things like your utilities and your internet into this. So if someone wants it just for a year, they want the easiest process, they can add 9,000 dirhams a year to their rent, and that will get them all of that set up. And 10% security deposit, this is often overlooked. A 10% security deposit is essentially around 7,000 dirhams that whoever rents it is going to give you immediately. And you're going to keep that for a year until they leave. If they leave and the apartment's in good condition, you have to return it. But then again, what's going to happen is the next tenant will give you their 10% as well. So the first time you rent your own property out, you're kind of gaining this security deposit, assuming that you keep renting the property every time. Now, after 2 weeks of advertising, a tenant was found through the first agent, the agent that was already busy showing people studios in the marina. They, as expected, they saw ours, they preferred our finish, they liked the fact that they'd be the first people to sleep in that bed, they'd be the first people to use all of this new stuff that we've added, and that does go towards something, and it's probably easier to get a higher rent straight away. Now, this person was also working in the marina, they didn't have a car, and their company, which was a hotel, was providing a housing allowance of 65,000 paid in 1 check. That allowed them to give us a final offer of 67,000 in 1 check, and we accepted. And the main reason we accepted was because of that 1 check, which I'll explain on the next slide, actually, how that helps us. So overall, our true ROI here was 7.45%, which is not as good as the 9% that we got on our first unit, but then again, we did get the rent in 1 check, plus we did now let's look at reinvesting those returns. So by the contract start, we actually received 67,000 dirhams in rent plus 6,700 dirhams as a security deposit up front. That means our tenant basically paid us 73,700 dirhams. Now, unless we've got an immediate use for this money, we can put that in a high interest savings account, which we did, and we get 5% on that account. So that means after a year, by the time that contract is finished, the final value of our investment there is 77,000 dirhams, which is almost 5,000 dirhams more, or 4,000 or 5,000 dirhams more than what we originally got as rent. That brings our actual true ROI, even if we give the deposit back at the end, to 7.9%, which is much more palatable than the 7.45. And it gets even better when we start combining our projects. Realistically, as time goes by, we're aiming to add more and more units. Currently, we have these 2. And if we look at them together now, we spent a total of 1.51 million dirhams, and we get a total profit each year of 125,000 dirhams. That gives us a true ROI of 8.27% and a monthly income of 10,417. From an investment of 1.5 million dirhams to get 10,000 plus rent every month, and that is after all the fees. That's a pretty good situation. For example, had we invested 3 million dirhams and bought 4 units, well, we'd be getting over 20,000 dirhams a month in income. That's already reaching the point where you could retire and just run these apartments. If we reinvest returns from this situation at 5%, that actually brings it up to 131,000 dirhams a year, which would be a true ROI of 8.7%. So combining our projects allows the better ones to obviously support the ones that are struggling at that time. Hopefully in the future, we will be able to get the rent up on this property to bring the whole true ROI up to closer to 9%, but I'm really happy with 8%. Plus the tenants are really happy in our units, and they are busy even speaking to us about renewals for next year at the same rates. What did I learn from this project? Well, the true costs of major renovations. Now, we underestimated the amount of renovation we wanted to do. I think the prices that we paid were very reasonable for what we got. It's just that our final outcome was a bit more elaborate than what we initially planned. It's easy to run away with it and get excited about certain things. In the end, it is worth it because we haven't even mentioned the capital appreciation of these projects, by the way. For now, we're just focusing on monthly returns, but any money you put in as a renovation would definitely come back at you later through capital appreciation. The individual section costs were quite reasonable for the finish we ended up with, and it certainly had a major impact on the outcome. Our unit rented quickly, even though it was the quieter season, and we still got a really solid return for it. Now, also, I learned the importance of diversity and remembering not to look at every project in such detail individually, but look at the whole portfolio. It's actually great now that we've got 2 properties in different buildings, both generating excellent returns, and we can reinvest those returns because we don't need that income right away. Maybe in the future we'll rely on that income for retirement, but for now we should be reinvesting it because it makes a significant difference to your overall return if you do that. 1.5 million for a reliable 10,000 dirhams per month income has been really good, and I feel like this will carry on for quite a long time. And if one of those properties ends up staying empty for a month or two due to some issue, renovation work, anything else, we would still have income coming in from the first. Now, this method is definitely proven, and I can confidently say that our first unit was really successful, but it wasn't a fluke. We were able to repeat it and still get that 8% plus ROI that we're looking for by the time you add. Now, if you want support in getting this type of property investment up and running for yourself, you can reach me for a custom consultation. I can offer you various services that might help you. You can also join our Facebook group, which I'll link below, which is a brand new thing I've added this week. So you can connect with me and various other property investors in Dubai that are happy to support each other. There should be a course link I'll be sharing soon, which will have a step-by-step guide on the best way to do what I've just shown you. So keep an eye out for that as well. But thank you for watching, and I hope you found this useful. Good luck on your property investment